Welcome to Kent and the 2.6 Grand Prix circuit at Brands Hatch in particular for the final round of the 1992 Super Cup Series. The 750s are on the line, always a cracker, and the championship now, although headed by the Norton rider Terry Rymer, he will not ride, is wide open for the two Kawasaki men, both of whom are on the front row. Number 6, Brian Morrison, second fastest qualifier, 31 years of age. Morrison has a good chance of taking the title, but the man he will take it from could well be his teammate, John Reynolds, fastest round here in practice by almost a second. The Kawasaki's have been fairly hard to beat, having 1-2s all around the national scene. But Rymer on the Norton, as I say, leading, unable to contest this event due to world endurance commitments in France. So Terry Rymer is away in France and will lose almost certainly that championship to one or the other of the Kawasaki riders. The fastest 5 across the front row then, in pole position, as I said, John Reynolds from Nottingham, teammate Brian Morrison, reigning champion, but not for much longer, Rob McElnea on the Yamaha, then Norton mounted Dunlop, and Jamie Witham on the Suzuki. We are carrying cameras on both of the Kawasaki's. Reynolds and Morrison will give us the rider's eye view. And the 750s then, the view from Reynolds' bike as they rocket off towards Paddock Hill Bend, but it wasn't one of the Kawasaki men who hit the lead. It looked like the Yamaha of Rob McElnea, the number 1 Yamaha, from the center of the front row. Up to Druids, Rob McElnea leads from Reynolds, number 3, then it's Morrison, then a surprise 4th place for the Crichton Norton. The number 46, Mark Farmer, rocketed into 4th from a second row start. So, the new livery on the Crichton Norton in 4th place, but McElnea leads. A tremendous start for the Humbersider on the Yamaha. So, Reynolds then having sneaked through into the lead. So a new leader, John Reynolds. Morrison is having a go as well. So these are the men, remember, fighting for the championship. Both the men on the green bikes now in 1st and 2nd place. Alongside me, Roger Burnett. Roger, I have to assume there'll be no team orders.
Absolutely. I spoke with Colin Wright, the team manager for Team Green Kawasaki this morning. He said there are no team orders. Both riders have a chance to win the championship, and there we can see Morrison's view. There's Reynolds in front of him. He's not letting Reynolds get away. This is Sterling's Bend. It's 75 miles an hour. You saw the front wheel lift a little bit there. 5th, 6th gear on the approach back towards Clearways. We've nearly completed 1 lap now. You can see the machine over on its side, the knee touching the road of John Reynolds there. And Morrison not letting him get away. A little wag there as the suspension took care of the bumps. Through to complete the lap and into Paddock Hill Bend.
Hard over then, John Reynolds, race leader, hot in pursuit. Number 6, Brian Morrison, the 31-year-old Scot at Druids, closing now on the back end of his teammate. So the Kawasaki dominance expressing itself again here at Brands Hatch, but what a tremendous view from Morrison's Kawasaki, and an enormous shake. That was a really bad shake by the Kawasaki of Morrison, and through on the inside went Mark Farmer. That's Mark Farmer, number 46, on the Crichton Roton, which is the rotary engine machine developed along exactly the same lines as the Norton rotary. Developed and built by Brian Crichton, this machine, who is now the senior development engineer back at the Norton factory in Shenston, Lichfield in Staffordshire. But right in the middle then of the Team Green Kawasaki's, and that was a big moment for Brian Morrison, number 6, and it was that moment, I think, that let Mark Farmer through. And the irony of this situation is, whilst the Crichton number 46 machine has found a new sponsor at the tail end of 1992, the Norton factory is without a sponsor for the 1993 season, and that is a big problem for them. Going into a full campaign, however, the Kawasaki's looking to lift this championship. Morrison's off, and Morrison has gone in a big way. So Brian Morrison's championship is over. Almost certainly there is another race for him to get some points, but that was a bad moment for Morrison, and he knows he's blown it.
Thankfully, Brian Morrison is perfectly okay. You see him there. He's taken his helmet off. Really nerve-wracking stuff, this. You saw earlier the back end of the machine wagging, and the camera, we saw that there was a problem. Mark Farmer took over that 2nd position from Morrison, and then obviously he applied the power too hard on the entry or exit there of Clearways Bend.
Brian Morrison absolutely heartbroken, but walking away, and now this is exactly Roger. Tell us what happened here.
He's trying to get the power down, and the back end of his machine is slid round. You saw that, and then too late to save it. Fortunately, Brian was perfectly okay, but he'll be so disappointed that he's out of the championship running.
Well, the hardware took a bit of a bashing there, but Brian Morrison, as you saw, perfectly okay. Very dejected, however, but now heading for the 1992 championship. Still one race to go, however, not all done and dusted yet, because Reynolds has done some silly things in the past, or may I say, has made some fairly careless decisions and has not finished for various reasons, but he's leading this one. Right with him, though, and storming round, having just gone round in the quickest time, Mark Farmer, number 46, on the Crichton Norton. So Norton in second place, and Farmer really has, having got his leg over this motorcycle at the tail end of last season, and then was re-signed by Brian Crichton midway through the 1992 campaign, has absolutely clicked on the rotary engine bike, and he's really closing down the race leader. We could, and I'm going to make a slight prediction here, the way Mark Farmer is going and the way that motorcycle is going. Having said that, Reynolds has just responded, as you can see, with a 104-mile-an-hour lap, which absolutely blows into the weeds the existing lap record held by Neil Mackenzie, set last year at 101.79. So the Kawasaki is phenomenally quick, and the Crichton Norton is going with it. And I'm making a prediction that maybe if Farmer can get on the tail end of John Reynolds, we could see the first national win, and that would be sensational.
It would be actually the second national win, because Mark Farmer won a race at Silverstone a matter of 3 or 4 weeks ago. But if I were the Team Green pit crew now, I would be seriously thinking about telling John Reynolds that his teammate Brian Morrison, there's John Reynolds, bike number 3, that his teammate Brian Morrison, who's the championship leader, is out of the race. That means that virtually the championship is being put into Reynolds' lap. He doesn't need to win this race. Having said that, he's either won every race in the series or not finished. So he personally will want to win this, but he doesn't need to.
Yeah, that indicates to me, Roger, that John Reynolds doesn't know the meaning of anything less than the race win. So long as he's upright and on 2 wheels and the Kawasaki's going well, then I'm pretty sure he intends to deliver the win. But we're watching now that gap being eroded very slightly. It is now down to just under the second. In fact, it's about 0.6 of a second. Farmer is really closing down the race leader, Reynolds. McElnea, number 1, still in 3rd place. In 4th place, it's another Norton, the factory Norton of Robert Dunlop. In 5th place, it's Jamie Witham on the Suzuki. 6th place, number 4, Ray Stringer. And in 8th place, and I think worthy of a mention, David Jeffries, number 35, who is riding the other Norton in place of Terry Rymer. And young Jeffries, in his first ride on the machine, having fallen very heavily in practice, having an extremely creditable performance. Race leader then, John Reynolds, number 3, through Dingle Dell. Right with him, though, goes the Norton of Mark Farmer, number 46, in the very pretty livery of their new sponsor, and McElnea in 3rd place.
Reynolds coming through onto the start and finish to complete yet another lap. The rev counter there, you can see going into that red area. That's not really where it should be. It's best to try and keep it below there. That's Paddock Hill Bend. This is a very steep uphill climb, down from 4th gear down to 2nd gear, heeling the bike right over to the right-hand side, applying the power, gradually getting the bike upright, then flicking left into Graham Hill Bend. You'll see the rev counter go up, approaching 90, 95, 100, 120 miles an hour before going back 1 gear, down into this very, very tight Surtees Bend. This one very important to get the power down, because now it goes all the way down the straight, approaching Westfield Bend. The rev counter going up there, 13,000, 13,500, 14,000 in 5th gear, 6th gear, 160 miles an hour, then back 1 gear for Westfield Bend there. Back end shaking a little bit. John's got to be careful, but he has got Mark Farmer pursuing him, so he needs to going to be shaken off.
Incredible pictures, and you can see how the lens is shaking there. Just imagine what it's doing to the rider's eyeballs. Those sorts of speeds, buffeted by the wind, the engine screaming, as Roger Burnett said, in excess of 13,000 revs per minute, well into the red. And John Reynolds knowing that he's really got to charge, but having said that, does he know that the championship, if he just cruises safely, is in his lap? Still just the second gap, holding that very, very well indeed. Mark Farmer then still on the tail end and close enough to be dangerous, but John Reynolds, with just 6 years experience, this man started riding in 1987 in vintage racing, a former motocrosser, having ridden on the rough for many years before turning to the tarmac. Reynolds is the shining light, I think, in the 750cc class during 1992, and what a true professional he's turned out to be for the Team Green Kawasaki equipage, I think is the best way to put it. They are a very professionally turned out outfit, as is now the Crichton Norton team, having got their act together. Colin Seeley has become involved in the press and administration side of that particular team. So professionalism pays, there's no doubt about it. John Reynolds then, knee hard on the tarmac. Feeling his way round with the knee sliders through Dingle Dell again. And Mark Farmer unable to do anything about it. Well, it looks as though Reynolds has got this one nicely under control, Roger.
From a rider's point of view, it's often better to not be told that the pressure has been taken off you, because you tend to concentrate far better, you tend to ride far better, and everything seems to go very well. Morrison is out. Reynolds looks like he's going to clinch the championship, and he won't do it in this race because we have another 20 points available in the second race. But as he sweeps round Paddock Bend and goes, heads on up to Druids, he's certainly shaking off Mark Farmer a little bit, but this is Reynolds' standard of concentration. He can turn in lap time after lap time, all the same speeds, and that's how he gradually edges away.
A not insignificant point is that Reynolds is also on his way to £650 pocket money in this race, which will more than pay his overnight hotel accommodation, that's for sure. And he will have thought long and hard about this weekend, and the number 3 plate that he's carrying now is almost destined now to become the number 1 plate for the 1993 season. And I just wonder what plans John Reynolds has for the future. Is he going to go Grand Prix racing? Is he going to go to World Superbike? Almost certainly he will stay in the UK and defend his 750cc Supercup title, assuming, of course, when we leave Brands Hatch, the title has gone to him, and it's looking very much as though it is. Mark Farmer unable, I think, to do anything about Reynolds, who had an almost casual glance over the left shoulder there just to see where the Norton rider is. And the Ulsterman, now based in Crawley, has really found his niche in this Norton team and is proving to be a very worthwhile investment indeed. At Druids, the Norton man closing in. You can see the gap now waiting for McElnea. There he goes, the red-clad rider in 3rd place. Race leader Reynolds. Then Mark Farmer. There's McElnea. Then it's Robert Dunlop, number 20, on the other Norton, the all-black bike. And a long, long gap now before 5th man, who indeed is James Witham on the Suzuki. And Ray Stringer, having come back from a fairly nasty injury midway through the season, is now riding extremely well in 6th place. And in 7th, on the backseat-heating Yamaha, Sean Emmett, number 30.
Just had information to say that Rutter, number 66, didn't start. He was unable to get the bike off the line, so that's very disappointing for him. You can see the gap there. Reynolds, bike number 3, and Mark Farmer still in pursuit. Looks like Rob McElnea may be catching that 2nd place Mark Farmer. There's Farmer going through now. Here's McElnea with Dunlop in hot pursuit. Robert Dunlop, the brother of Joey Dunlop, who I'm sure will be watching this with interest from his armchair back over in Northern Ireland. But McElnea, of course, last year's 750cc series winner, not been able to turn the form or compete with the Kawasaki's as he was able to last year, and probably disappointed with his performance so far this year.
This the battle then for third and fourth. McElnea #1 in third place, last year's champion, came here to Brands sitting in 5th place in the title standings on 118 points. And the man behind him, in fact, is joint on 118 points. So this battle is more than just about places in this race. This, too, is about championship positions. These men have equal points. And the way things are at the moment, and Robert Dunlop has used the superior speed of the Norton to go through into third place. So Robert Dunlop, not only ahead on the road, is also now ahead in the championship on points, sitting in third place. So a good result for him. Third place man then, Robert Dunlop, the diminutive Ulsterman who rides the 125cc and in fact rode the 125 in the British Grand Prix at Donington Park and is a very, very good 125cc rider. Had to settle for second place in the Isle of Man TT this year on the 125, and brother Joey, the man Roger Burnett referred to, actually took the win on that occasion, and that was a fairly memorable occasion for him. Race leader John Reynolds looking very, very smooth. In practice, the Kawasaki people tried a carbon fiber front wheel, which was a beautifully engineered and extremely light piece of machinery. That's not in for the race, however, but John said that it does handle very well indeed, and it enables him to flick the bike from right to left and change direction much more quickly. So carbon fiber very much the coming thing in lightweight engineering.
Reynolds, interestingly, is 5 feet 6 inches tall, and when we see a shot of him going round a right bend, as we do now, he can't get his foot on the footrest. You can see it there hanging. He hooks his foot under the seat, and he can't reach the footrest. His legs are so short. How he keeps control, because the left foot, of course, operates the gear change lever, the right foot the rear brake, but he can't reach the footrest. His legs are so short. Kawasaki have tried taking the padding off the seat, which makes his riding position uncomfortable. So we may see that again as he goes into clearways. He just hooks his heel under the seat. There you see it. Round he goes. Amazing.
There's still the battle for third place. Number 20, Robert Dunlop, holding off a determined attack from big Rob McElnea, #1. The reigning champion, who is now watching his title just evaporate. We are well over three-quarters distance, I beg your pardon, into this race. So Reynolds then on his way to 20 points. This scrap is about the 15-point place of third position. Rob McElnea gesticulated, so there was some sort of hand signal there from Rob McElnea as they exited Druids. I'm a little bit confused as to exactly what he meant by that. It was almost as though he was waving to someone at the side of the circuit. I can't believe that he would do that in such an intense battle. After all, this is about the championship place. And #1, Rob McElnea, does have some very determined plans and serious plans about the 1993 season, Roger.
Yes, it's rumoured that Rob McElnea wants to go back to the 500cc Grand Prix racing scene. I must say that would be a sad loss for British spectators and the sport in the UK, but if that's what Rob has got his sights set on doing, then I'm sure that he'll be trying everything to do that. Of course, the cost is extensive and perhaps will prohibit him being able, but he's now trying on the inside of Dunlop. He didn't make it that time. The Norton is such a light machine by comparison, and Robert Dunlop weighs next to nothing, and he's able to get away on the straights. Rob McElnea's riding extremely hard to close up. These bikes weigh around 300 pounds, and the physical effort to hurtle them into the corner, to stop yourself going over the front of the machine when you brake, because the brakes are very powerful, and then to stop yourself going off the back of the machine when you accelerate, requires a great deal of physical strength.
departure of Brian Morrison, number 6, really took the sparkle out of the front of this race. There's a frantic battle, as you can see, going on for 3rd place. In 2nd place is still sitting relatively comfortably Mark Farmer on the other Norton, on the Crichton Norton in 2nd. The race leader, though, a very clear race leader, number 3, John Reynolds. But Robert Dunlop, number 20, having a quick glance back, having to fend off another attack by Rob McElnea, number 1. They have the top 6, no changes, no surprises. Jamie Witham, 20 seconds adrift from the race leader on the Suzuki, but Ray Stringer right with him. So the Witham and Stringer battle, obviously a very close one, as is the battle we are watching now for the vital 3rd place and the 15 points that go with it. It looks at this moment in time as though those points and the prize money are destined for the pocket of Robert Dunlop, number 20, as the knees and elbows get tucked in, winding back, another handful of throttle, and the little Irishman onto the straight to complete yet another lap, and the Norton is blisteringly quick down through here. Over the line again, the penultimate lap.
I think it's worth saying again that these two riders, that is Robert Dunlop on bike number 20 and Rob McElnea on bike number 1, are actually equal on points at the moment. And with Brian Morrison out of the picture, Terry Rymer not here competing, there is a chance that one of these two riders could take the runner-up spot in the championship by the end of the afternoon's proceedings.
So suddenly an awful lot more to go for these two. It was looking as though McElnea might end up in 4th or 5th place in the championship, but to pick up on that point made by Roger Burnett, very obviously an opportunity there to significantly increase the championship standings, with one more race to go after this, I remind you, and another 20 points up for grabs. And it's by no means a foregone conclusion that John Reynolds will win the 2nd of the 2 encounters today. It certainly looks as though he's romping home to victory in this first one, and another 15 lapper to come, as up into 3rd place again goes McElnea, beautifully through on the inside, almost as though he had that one planned from the word go. But Robert Dunlop not giving up, he was caught napping there and immediately fights back, and that was very close indeed. McElnea still leads then, onto the straight again, and there will be 2.6 miles for them left to do as they go over the line. But that was a tremendous move, Roger, but Robert Dunlop was not pleased with that.
No, Rob McElnea, we saw him wave earlier on. I think that was a signal that he'd got things under control. I doubt very much, having said that, Rob McElnea's got a slower rider to encounter now. He's coming up to lap the man in front of him, and oh, unbelievable that. That was a very difficult place to pass, but he's virtually secured himself 3rd place in the race by doing it. Look at the gap now between himself on bike number 1 and Robert Dunlop on bike number 20. I don't think he can get back at Rob McElnea.
Well, you can see for yourselves, it's 8 or 10 machine lengths between the 3rd place man, number 1, Rob McElnea, and the 4th place man, number 20, Robert Dunlop. And Dunlop is really going to have to put everything in to the remainder of this final lap if he's to do anything about the Yamaha ahead of him. So Kawasaki leads. In 2nd place, it's Norton. 3rd place, it's Yamaha. 4th place, it's Norton. 5th place, Suzuki. And Ray Stringer, we're with the race leader now, John Reynolds, still buzzing into the red line on the Kawasaki, but 20 points as good as in his pocket. And Reynolds then, with the checkered flag in sight, takes a stunning win here at Brands Hatch and almost secures the championship with 1 race to go. Look at that, jubilant then, John Reynolds. He knows that he's almost done enough. If he can just have a steady ride in the 2nd leg, he's put the championship out of reach of any of the other competitors, and that is indeed a good performance. But he'll be very sad to learn the bad news about Brian Morrison, who threw it away whilst giving us some fairly vivid camera pictures. Poor Brian Morrison. Is his day over, or will we see him in leg 2? Confirmation then of the top 6. Reynolds from Mark Farmer, Rob McElnea, Robert Dunlop, Jamie Witham and Ray Stringer on another Kawasaki. Means that he's virtually handed the championship to John Reynolds. Terry Rymer's still there, but he doesn't ride, of course. McElnea, Dunlop and Witham, so Morrison, the only man in with a mathematical